and family dynamics and relationships. And this is Parshat Toldot. Actually, Rabbi Fine talked about it last night if you were at services a little bit. And so did Cantor Aaliyah Stewart talk about it. Welcome, everyone. Let you in. And it's, the beginning of kind of a family dynamic. Well, no, it's a continuation of a family dynamic that's pretty dysfunctional in certain ways that plays out until the next generation and doesn't really right itself until Joseph. But this is the beginning. This is a really interesting parsha. It's one of our seminal matriarchal stories, but a very key person in this. I'm going to wait. Whenever it gets in, we'll start with the blessings. I'm just giving a little intro. I always thought sometimes our ancestors should have been Abraham, Rebecca, and Jacob, not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because I feel like Rebecca is the one who really drives this story and determines what's going to happen in the next generation. And I know you studied about her last week, so she's a pretty powerful character, even as a young girl. She has a lot of agency. She makes her own decisions. She invites Eliezer, or Abraham's servant, into her home without checking with anybody. When they ask her if she wants to go get married, when they say, let me take her back, they ask her when she wants to go. So you see that she's a pretty strong character. And my favorite, though, there's a little bit of a love story in there between Rebecca and Isaac, because my favorite thing is when she sees him, in English, it says, because the translation is terrible, vatipol, it says she alighted from her camel, but really in Hebrew, it's she fell off her camel. And I always feel like she fell and went, that's him? Oh my God. And she covers her face with her veil because that's what a bride does before the wedding, but it says she fell off her camel. And then it says Isaac took her into his mother's tent and he married her and he loved her. And it's interesting also, and Rabbi Leder often talks about this, he married her and then he loved her because it's like love often grows with the marriage, during the marriage or whatever. And by the time we get to this parsha, she's pretty dominant. And he does love her because we see something that I don't think any other patriarch does. So let's turn to Parshat Toldot, which is, let's see, I'm opening my book, my Chumash. It's right after, and Sarah has died. Toldot is Genesis chapter 25. It's so weird, verse 19. If you have the Eitz Chaim, it's page 146. I don't know if people want to share other page numbers, but it's Genesis chapter 25, verse 19.
Women's Torah, it's 135.
Okay. Eitz Chaim, it's 146. And we also, we don't know how old Rebecca was, but they talk about Isaac's age. Okay, so let's start with a blessing. So great to study Torah with you this morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And la'asok means to engage, but it also is a word for business. So we're in the Torah business this morning. We're doing Torah. So also, I was preparing yesterday, and the Hebrew.
He's frozen again.
Sorry. The Hebrew is not, the translation doesn't do the Hebrew justice. The Hebrew is much more passionate, much more emotional. So I'm going to refer to the Hebrew, and those of you who know Hebrew can look at it yourself. Okay, so let's just start. Who would like to read? Who would like to read? Come on, you're all readers. Rebecca.
These are the descendants of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took to wife Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Armenian of Panaram, the sister of Laban the Armenian. And Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
Okay, let's stop. Okay, so first of all, in Hebrew, it says, what was the word? These are the what of Isaac? What did yours say?
He took to the wife Rebekah, the daughter of.
No. These are the very first line. What was your?
Oh, these are the descendants.
Okay, so in Hebrew, these are the generations, or of Isaac, the son of Abraham, and then it says, I mean, really. Abraham holid et Yitzchak. Holid means gave birth. Now, obviously, Sarah gave birth, but they give him like it's that they say begot Isaac, but he gave birth literally, they say, to Isaac. And then Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah. So he was 40. We don't know how old she was. I always feel like she was a teenager or something. She was quite young. I think there was quite a big distance between them. But he takes her, and we have to remember there's something very important here that you should know for future, because they don't just talk about her father, but they also mention her brother, Lavan, in this passage. And Lavan is going to be very significant because he will be the father of Leah and Rachel. So we have to, that's why I think, the narrator included them to give us remember this name. We heard it in the last parsha, and they're putting it in here. There's something apart. Okay. Now, this is really interesting, because what does Isaac do on behalf of his wife? And in Hebrew, it's not, did you read pray, Rebecca?
Yes.
In Hebrew, it's pleaded with God. So, what does that say about the relationship between them? Would you say that he pleaded with God? And what does it say about Rivka's relationship with God as well? I mean, what does it say about their relationship between each other and each of their relationships with God, do you think, from the fact that Isaac pleaded to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was barren? And the Lord responded to his plea, and she got pregnant.
Well, plead means you're desperate. You're desperate for something when you're pleading.
Right? What else? What else does it say about them, and also about their relationship with God at this point? Any thoughts? Yes,
How
Mara.
God could help them.
Mara, and then Merle.
So it suggests that Rebecca may be estranged from God.
Estranged, or has no relationship, or as a woman, it wasn't the custom to have a girl or a woman speak with God, pray to God or ask for God. Because so far, though we do know that God spoke to Hagar. So, but it's something, and what does it say about Isaac on behalf of his wife? Do you think? He loved her. He cared about her. She was suffering, because we'll see in the next chapter, a couple chapters down, Rachel has the same issue. And she says to Jacob, can you pray for me? And he says, what do you want me to do? I can't do anything about it. He's very unsympathetic. And here we have this very, I think Isaac is a very sensitive man. He was grieving his mother's loss. He had that trauma of almost being sacrificed. He loved her. It says he loved her, and she's, barren. And so he prays to God on her behalf, and God listens to Isaac. God says God heard him. David.
We don't know that Rebecca didn't plead to God just because, or ask God or pray to God, just because it's not mentioned here. Maybe she did. There weren't quote unquote results. And so then Isaac, who sees that his wife is asked God, so that's why he pleaded.
Yeah, I like that. That's possible, but you'll see now she is going to have her own conversation with God in the very next verse. So, yes, but you're right. That's true. That's a possibility. Any other thoughts about this? So, it seems like Isaac felt comfortable enough to talk to God, to plead, and God heard him, and she became pregnant. So, but when she became pregnant, what happened? So, who would like to read next? Oh, Merle. And you had something to say? Did you want to add something? I'm sorry.
No, I forgot. Somebody else said it, so don't worry
Okay,
about it.
go ahead.
Children pressed against each other inside her. She thought, if this is so, why do I exist? So she went to inquire of the Eternal. The Eternal One said to her,
Okay,
two
stop.
people.
Okay, one sec. Because what does that mean? If this is so, why do I exist? It's in Hebrew. It's really interesting. She said, "Im kain lama zanochi." If so, why am I here? Why am I? Why am I? Why is this me? Is really what it means. Why is this me? If so, why is this me? So, what do you think she's saying? And
Why
then
is she
God responds.
stuck? Why is she stuck with twins or with two nations inside of her?
She doesn't know that yet. All she knows is they're fighting in her belly.
Oh, all right. I read ahead. I
But here,
mean, I
yeah,
can understand. Not, I mean, I've never had twins, but I had a really horrible pregnancy, difficult. I could understand why she might ask that.
what's she
Why
asking?
did God do this to me?
She didn't even say God. She says, but you're right.
Well,
Why is
whoever.
okay? Any other thoughts? I feel like you're right, but I think you could be a little
I'm
more.
I'm guessing.
I think
I'm
it's like an
assuming.
existential question almost. If
Yeah.
this is it, if this is this is pregnancy that I prayed for. Oh my God, why am I even alive? Why am I a woman? Why is this me? This is horrible. I prayed for this. I wanted this, and now like I'm sick as a dog. I hurt. They're punching inside of me. They're fighting, whatever. It's like I'm miserable. And I love that I don't even know if anyone else complains. Does anyone complain before Rebecca that you can remember in the Torah? Cindy?
Well, somewhere they say that the pain of childbirth is because of Eve eating the apple.
Yeah, yeah, not listening. That's going to be her suffering. But does anybody complain? Eve doesn't say anything, but here she's going, oh my God, if this is it, why? Why am I even alive? This is horrible. And she's sort of acknowledging probably a universal question that I imagine many pregnant women for the first time ask. I wanted this so bad, but now I'm so sick. And here is her conversation with God. So, David, oh, wait, Mara, go ahead.
I think this is interesting because it kind of sets up the whole Torah portion. It's the beginning of asking how you know things.
Interesting. I like that. So, what do you think? Talk a little more about that.
We get later in the Torah portion, of course, we have the whole question of the deception of Rebekah and Jacob, and how Isaac knows or does
Doesn't.
not know who he's blessing.
That's good.
So this idea of Rebecca not knowing where her pain comes from, what it's due to me sets up that whole question of how do you know anything? How do you know what a blessing in your life is? She doesn't know about the blessing she's getting. Isaac doesn't know about the potentially doesn't know about blessing he's giving, or may actually know. And Rebecca doesn't know later the consequences of what she's done in terms of the relationship between Esau and Jacob. So I think the whole Torah portion is just filled with questions of how do you know what you know?
How do you know? Okay, Brad.
I love that, Mara. That's very Greek epistemology. How do I know what I know? And I just want to add on to what Cindy said, because I think this is really a challenge to God. Because after Adam and Eve, God had said he's going to punish women with the pangs of childbirth, and men with work. That's going to be their punishment. So, God she's challenging God here after God had already expressed that he's going to do this.
What does that say about Rebecca?
Well, I think that she's a rebel. I think she's what's the word? Come back to me. Let me think of the
Okay.
word.
Okay. I mean, she challenges God. That's pretty gutsy. When we think about Abraham, who didn't say boo when God said, sacrifice your son, and Rebecca is saying, really? This is it? You call this a blessing? I don't know. This is terrible. This is painful. And also, I think it's very human. It's like people say, to save your life, you need open heart surgery, and you go fine, and then it's excruciating, and then you go, oh my God, this is not, you're not prepared. So she wasn't really prepared for this, and then God answers her. God gives her a prophecy. He gave Hagar a prophecy about her son, and now he's giving Rebecca a prophecy about her children. So David, why don't you read it, because you were talking about her relationship with God and stuff.
Two peoples are in your belly. Two nations shall branch off from each other as they emerge from your womb. One people shall prevail over the other. The elder shall serve the younger.
Okay, so in Hebrew, though, it's very interesting. It says Viravya Avod Sa'ir, which can mean the older will work for the younger. But it also in Hebrew, because there's no is, are, there's no what's the word? The to be verb. It also could mean, and the elder will be served by the younger. The Hebrew could be read either way, which is very interesting, because it could be the older serves the younger, or the older will be served by the younger. And Rebecca takes it. Brad, is your hand still up or no?
No.
Okay. So Rebecca understands it. The translation understands it this way, and whatever, all the interpreters. But I mean, I have read commentaries where she heard what she heard, or she decided once she knew who the two sons were, who she thought we'll see her favorite was Jacob. But it can be read either way. I guess the logic or the weight going to the one we know, because why would God say the older will be served by the younger? Why would he need to say that? Because that's the normal order of things, that the older is served by the younger. So the fact that it's probably right, but it could be interpreted either way if you know Hebrew, which is interesting. And some people say she interpreted it, but that's just something I wanted to add to you. Okay, so let's move on to the birth and how they got their names and how different they were. Who would like to read? Come on, somebody read. Cindy, you're unmuted, so I'm calling on you.
When the time came for her to give birth, lo, she had twins in her belly. The first came out reddish all over, as though covered with a hairy mantle, so they named him Esau.
Okay, so I just want to tell you, Esau is it's means like a cover or covered or a mantle, and so he's wearing a mantle, so of hair. So baby, hairy. That's interesting. Go ahead.
His brother following came out holding Esau's heel, so they named him Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born.
Okay, so Jacob comes from the word Yaakov, or follower or heel or whatever. He's on the heel of them. And it took Rebecca 20 years. Let's just note that, because he was 40 when he married Rebecca, and now he's 60. So they didn't have children for 20 years. So it really was a long time and a long wait. And I mean, this is our tradition so far. I mean, Sarah was 90 when she gave birth. I mean, Rebecca wasn't young, but she had waited a really long time.
But
Okay.
Isaac's father and son both had concubines to produce children. He didn't.
That's right. Because I think he really loved her. There was a love story there, an unspoken love. And it says he loved her. We never hear Abraham saying he loved. We do hear Jacob loving Rachel, but we never hear about Abraham and Sarah. Okay, do you want to go a little further?
Sure. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the outdoors, but Jacob was a homespun man, keeping to the tents.
Okay, one second. So in Hebrew, it says he was a man of the hunter, a man of the fields. Ish Sadeh, man of the fields. He went out, he was athletic, he was physical. He was very physical. Vayakov Ish Tom, Yoshev Ohalim. Tom means simple, mild mannered. And what was the word you had, Cindy?
Homespun.
I've never heard that before. It says, but here this says, Jacob, a quiet man, does not carry weapons. He dwelt in the tents, and they say he was a pastoralist. He was more of a shepherd, who dealt with, stayed in the tents, or I guess the flock or whatever. It's not clear, but we know exactly. One was sort of, I wouldn't say cerebral, but more emotional, relational. And one was, athletic and a hunter and very masculine. One was very masculine. So obviously we know who favored who. So who would like to read about the favoritism? Somebody, please. Thank you. Harvey.
Okay. Isaac favored Esau because he had a taste for game, but Rebekah favored Jacob.
Okay.
What?
Now, in Hebrew, it doesn't say favored. It says ahav. What's ahava? We know that word. He loved. It says Isaac loved Esau because he liked a favored game. He favored, he liked the cooking, but there's much more to that. Why do you think Isaac would favor Esau? Based on who? Yeah, Rebecca.
Well, this is what you said in another Torah study. I wrote it down. The son Esau fulfills what the father is not.
I said that?
Yeah.
Oh. And what is he not?
Well, Isaac is more introspective.
Right.
And Esau's more outgoing and physical, as you said.
Right. And I mean, it's like a lot of fathers. I mean, this is a stereotype, but you're not athletic, but you want your son to be in sports or do really well or be on a team or whatever, because it fulfills your own dream. And Isaac was very, more like Jacob, actually, probably. And Rebecca favored Jacob. Why do you think?
Because Jacob was more like Isaac.
Or she liked having her son at home in the house, and he cooked, he made things. It's interesting that he's chosen to be the next patriarch. It's very interesting that this is the character as opposed to the older, more dynamic, powerful son. But Richard Friedman, who wrote this book, who wrote the Bible, is very interesting. Oh, Howard, go ahead. And then I'll finish. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just thinking, I mean, I don't think he was simple, and it didn't turn out he was simple. You could have said devious more, would be more accurate.
You're right, but when you talk about the four sons, isn't one of them Tom? One of them is, they call it the simple son. That's the third son, it's the same word. So, but also tamim means pure. It could also be he's pure of heart or whatever, though he becomes devious, but this idea that he's a more pure soul, though we don't see that because he starts negotiating for his birthright very quickly. But I wanted to say that, wait, what was I going to say about, oh, I forgot something about Isaac or Jacob, but I don't know, it'll come to me. But yeah, okay, so, was it? I don't remember. All right, so let's go on. He was a hunter, he stayed home, and now here we have this first dynamic between the two brothers. We know nothing about the relationship until we come to this. And by the way, Esau is always portrayed by the commentaries, the rabbis, everything, as a bad person, as an oaf or not worthy. But if we look at the text, I want you to look at Esau and tell me, without any preconceived prejudice, what do you think about him? What's your opinion of him? So let's yes,
Well, I
Harvey.
would think Esau was more warlike, and Jacob would be more of a thinker.
Okay,
That's
so why do you say warlike? Because he's a
well,
hunter?
because of his hunting ability.
But isn't that
He's
okay?
he's killing game.
But didn't everybody do that? Otherwise, how did you
Well, I
eat?
don't think Jacob was doing it.
No, he wasn't doing it. But why do you think he's a thinker?
Because of his devious, we call it devious, but he was thinking things through what he wanted.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yes, Eric.
Uh, each one had a genetic profile. One was the thinker and one was the hunter gatherer. Which would you want leading you wise person could understand the ways of the world, or hunter gatherer was a simpler job, but more difficult. So each one may have had their God may have examined their hearts to see who was going to be the leadership potential. It
So
was
there's a commentary that says that there are actually two parts of our character, that each one represents different parts of our character. And the hunter-gatherer certainly was important in an ancient society. And also, I just want to add, not that it takes skill and thought to be a good hunter, to outwit the animal, to stalk the
oh,
animal, to find the
can I tell
animal.
you something? I'm if I can have more time, please. I'm a little autistic, so I need time to speak a little bit. Each one has their traits. It's like left brain and right brain, and like the Ten Commandments, you need both plaques of the Ten Commandments to make the society. So you need both skills, hunter and gatherer, and the negotiator. There was like a warlike people for the defense, and the clever guy for the negotiation. I didn't may have Jacob may have more negotiating skills than Esau. So in an ideal situation, you have both commanders of the society. But since the jealousy always keeps up, they didn't have the foresight to have both as the co-leaders of the Jewish people, because the point of view of the book was to emphasize the generations of Jacob, not of Esau. So if they were combined, we would have been a powerhouse.
You're right. And you know what? I remember what I was going to say, and then I'm going to call him Mara. That according to Richard Friedman, the Torah and the stories of the Torah always favored the younger, weaker son in the family dynamic, which was a reflection of the smaller, weaker people of Israel surrounded by these huge, powerhouse civilizations, Egypt, Assyria, Babylonia, Persia. And there was this small little country, and that was represented metaphorically by the younger son in all our stories. It's always the younger son, King David, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, all the way through. It's the younger, more unlikely heir, inheritor, heir, and successor, and the person who prevails in our stories to echo that idea of the small, small people. Yes, Brad.
I think Mara was first.
Oh, Mara, sorry.
I just have a brief comment that the fact that the Torah says that Jacob dwelled in tents and Esau was a man of the outdoors reminds me of Israel today, the division in Israel today, the ultra orthodox insistence that you study Torah, you're not out in the
army.
in
Yeah,
in the army, yeah. And Esau's kind of an army man.
you're right. I mean, today I imagine the IDF kind of likes Esau. Brad.
Well, if there was a war going on in Rebecca's stomach, isn't that telling us that they were both warriors? That
Interest.
that Jacob is a warrior as well as Esau?
I guess so, unless he's defending himself or whatever. I mean, yes, you could say that. You could. I mean, absolutely. Though we see, in reality, Esau always remains kind of the physical warrior, and Jacob remains the cerebral or the thinker, the negotiator, even the schemer. We could say they each have different modes of survival and of going forward. But yeah, you could say that. I mean, but then it never seems to manifest when he's born, because Jacob never really fights ever, does he? I don't think so. His sons fight. I mean, and they
Well,
kill Shechem, and the whole town, his sons, but he doesn't ever go to war, as far as I know.
Jacob
Right?
there are
Jacob
different
wrestles with
kinds
the
of warrior.
angel.
He
Oh,
wrestles
yeah.
with the angel. There you go. Yeah. But that's also is looked as a spiritual struggle, could be, or physical struggle. Yeah, but you're right, that's true. So he has a different kind of strength or a different kind of power than his brother. So her brother certainly doesn't have any intellectual power, because now he's about to sell his birthright for some lentil stew. So who would like to read that part? Somebody, come on. Okay, Diane.
Okay. One day when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the hunting field. He was famished, and he said to Jacob, "I'm famished. Let me gulp down some of that red stuff." That is why he was named Edom.
Okay, so let me just stop and tell you, Edom means red. And
Ah.
so they're saying that was his name, but that became a tribe. Edom was a tribe that was, in Canaan, or one of the surrounding tribes. And the Talmud says Edom was the ancestor of Rome. And Roma, does Rome mean red too? Roma, I'm not sure. But they say that Edom, Rome, the Romans, who were, very big oppressors of the Israel, the Jewish people at a certain time, came from Edom, just so you know. Okay, keep going.
Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright here and now." And Esau said, "Here I am going to die. What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Confirm it to me by oath here and now." So he swore it to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob then gave Esau bread and lentil stew. He ate, drank, got up, and left. Thus did Esau disdain his birthright.
So in Hebrew, it says, here I am going to die. In English, here in the Eitz Chaim, it says, I am at the point of death. So what of use is my birthright? What does he mean? Here I'm going to die, or what is the use of my birthright? What do you think that means? Because it's confusing. He's a young guy.
Maybe because he's out hunting?
Could be. Marina?
I think it's a metaphor. We sometimes say, I'm dying of hunger. I am so tired, I'm dying. I think it's just a metaphor.
You think it's like, I'm dying of hunger. What do I need? I'm so
Yeah,
hungry now. All I
I'm
care.
so hungry. Yeah, I'm about to die. I think it's just a metaphor. I don't think he expected to die, but he came home. He's hungry. He wants it right away, and it also tells us about his character. He's impatient. He wants what he wants right now, and that's how he expresses himself.
I like that. David, did you have your hand up?
Excuse me. Yes. Well, so Esau came in from the hunting field, and so he was hunting. It's tough to do. How many days was he out there for it? And so that's why he may be famished. But when he says, I'm going to die, maybe he believes I'm going to die eventually. And so when I die, the birth rate ain't going to do me any good. What do I care? And so that's why he doesn't really, he relinquishes it. And then it's interesting, Jacob probably, it seems, had thought about this for a while. It would be unusual if his brother comes in, very famished, Jacob's cooking, and then all of a sudden Jacob, it comes up, he wants the birthright. So it was probably something he was jealous about, or he thought he deserved it. But then in one final thing, we see Isaac favored Esau, and we see Rebekah favored Jacob. Well, who did God favor? God favored Jacob, and without going into the future things about how Jacob got with the trickery with Isaac and all of that, God's will was done.
What's the birthright? I mean, what do we mean by birthright, do you think? When he says,
Uh,
give me the
the
birthright.
the right to inherit, to take over the father's work, business, be in charge of the family.
It's interesting. That's what I thought. But later, there's this blessing that, Jacob is going to give, Isaac's going to give to Esau. And apparently, the commentary says there's a difference between the blessing of the firstborn and the birthright, that they're two different things. And the birthright is not necessarily the material reward. It seems like it's some kind of spiritual thing. It's like, let me be the head of the inheritor, or the heir to the one God, to the carrying on the monotheism, the relationship with Adonai seems to be the birthright. That
Ah,
blessing, we'll get to it, but I remember reading it and says, I'll bless you and I'll assign you all this material stuff is what is separate in some way from the birthright. And I just want to look at the Bechoro, though. I don't know, because Bechoro does mean older, the older son rights, but maybe it seems that it's something different, but we'll read on and we'll see. Okay, so it says Esau spurned his birthright. He didn't care about it. And he ate and drank and he went away. So Esau didn't really care about it. Okay, we're going to skip this thing about, which is kind of a parallel of Isaac passing off Rebekah as his sister, just like Abraham did. Some commentaries say it's just the same story, but told twice. And go to chapter 27. Chapter 27 in the story. Time has passed, and it's 153 in the Eitz Chaim, if you're there. Time has passed. And this is a really interesting first line. It says, and Isaac was old, and his eyes were too dim to see. and the commentaries talk about the kind of blindness that Isaac had. So, what kind of blindness? Think about blindness literally and metaphorically, and what kind of blindness could Isaac have? Merle.
Blindness, I'm thinking, isn't just blindness where you can't physically see, but blindness in your mind that you don't, it's not that you're not seeing physically, you're not seeing what's going on around you.
Okay. Marina?
What comes with the old age is, on the one hand, macular degeneration, where you see some but not clearly, like my mother, or also dementia, where you understand some but not everything. So it can be twofold.
By the way, I just want to, at the end of the last chapter, it talks about Esau marries two women, and one's a Hittite, two daughters of two Hittite girls. So this is right before when Esau was 40 years old, he took to wife Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basmath, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they were a source of bitterness to Isaac and Rebekah. So he married two women who were, pagan worshipers, who were idolaters. So that happened before this story. Just want to set that up. Brad, go ahead. And
Well,
then Mara, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, of course, it could be something, you know, severely medical, but it could also be just a lack of discernment or lack of perspicacity. Your thinking powers, they start to fail as you age.
You feel that way? I don't feel that way. Okay, but yes. Or, okay, Mara or Harv, I think it's Mara, yes.
I think potentially Isaac's inability to perceive starts when Abraham takes him up to sacrifice him. Although it's not clear whether Isaac understood or not. And so perhaps this is simply a continuation of that inability to perceive what's going on. Again, about the ability to know.
Okay, yes. Okay, David.
Well, Isaac knew what he was doing because when he's talking, he called his elder son Esau. So the narrative says he specifically called Esau. And then when he says, "Pick up your weapons and hunt, and then you can make me dishes and all, and then I can give you my blessing." So he knew he was talking to Esau because he wanted him to hunt and get food for him. Jacob
Yes.
didn't do that.
Right. One of the commentaries says he was blind to Esau's faults. When you have a favorite, you overlook their faults. So he was blind to how he was not suitable or fit to be the next leader of the people. He didn't see that because he was blinded. Also, it says, that Esau can cook too, because he could make, delicious barbecue of what he caught or he hunted. Also, there's this beautiful midrash that when Isaac was on the altar and the angel, stopped his father from taking the knife and slaughtering him, he had a glimpse of heaven or divinity because he saw this. And after that, he saw everything. He couldn't see the darkness or flaws in the world. He only looked at the world through like pure eyes. It says here, I'm going to read you this because it's really interesting. Several commentators understood Isaac's blindness as emotional, not physical, because he loved and envied. He said he envied Esau he was blind to Esau's faults. He could not recognize that Esau's shortcomings disqualified him from being the heir to Abraham's teachings. One midrash connects this incident to the passage. No. Judgment is clouded by Esau's bringing him his favorite foods. Another midrash recalls Isaac lying on his back on the altar at the time of the Akedah, glimpsing the light of heaven when the angel appears to spare his life. It suggests that Isaac was never able to see events on earth clearly after that. Having been afforded a glimpse of heaven, Isaac was naively blind to lying in deceit on earth. He could no more recognize the transparent lies of Jacob than he could recognize the unworthiness of Esau. So it's spiritual blindness, physical blindness, emotional blindness that is a possibility for Isaac at this time. Marina.
I hate to take us away from this discussion, but I don't think Isaac was as um, naive as it looks if he's only seeing the good side of the world. Because when he was traveling with his wife, he declared her his sister,
Right.
and Abimelech almost defiled her. The God intervened. So he was aware of dark sides of the world, and he wasn't always that blind.
Yes, but I hear you, but I could push back and say he's following in his father's footsteps. It wasn't an original behavior. He doesn't seem to have done anything particularly original,
No,
except
it's repeated definitely. That was
right, right,
my.
right. So I don't know. I mean, the only original thing, well, no, even blessing Esau is something that's the tradition. So it's really Rebecca who engineers everything. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Okay, let's go on. So, um, he was old. Who was reading? Did they just started reading? Who was reading? Okay, maybe no one. All right, who would like to read? Diane, go ahead.
Now, son, listen to me. To what am I am instructing you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 tender kids, and I will make them into tasty dishes for your father, such as he likes. You will bring them to your father, and
Wait,
he
wait,
will
wait. You're jumping. That's Rebecca. Let's go back to 27 and start from the beginning
again. Okay.
because we only
What?
read one sentence. Go ahead.
Okay, so do you want me to start from the beginning? When
Yeah.
Isaac had grown old and his eyesight had dimmed, he called his elder son Esau, saying to him, My son, here I am. He answered, Look now, said he, I have grown old, and for all I know, I may die any day. So pick up your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the countryside and hunt me some game. Then you can make me tasty dishes, such as I like, and bring them to me, and I will eat, so that I can give you my health felt blessings before I die.
What was that translation for the book? What kind of blessing?
Health felt,
Health?
heartfelt.
Oh, heartfelt. So, what does anybody have any other translation of that word for what kind of blessing it is?
Innermost.
Innermost. Yeah.
Innermost. In Hebrew, it says nafshi, nefesh, tivarech nafshi. I will give you the blessing of my soul's blessing. So, I mean, I don't even see any commentary on that, but nafshi, my soul's blessing, um, is what is that? My innermost blessing. Oh, here it is. Literally, that my nefesh, my soul may bless you. Isaac summons from the depths of his soul all the vitality and energy at his command to invoke God's blessing. So I'm giving you my innermost, my soul's blessing. Is that the same as the birthright? Do you think? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it's the same as the birthright, but this is the blessing that a father gives. Do any of you bless your children? Does anybody bless their children anymore? I mean, there is a blessing that you're supposed to say on Friday night to your sons and your daughters. Do you all know that
I did
blessing?
when they lived with me.
Who says my parents do?
I did.
Oh, Asher, your mom blesses you?
Yeah, she still does the blessings for me. She'll FaceTime me and say the prayer.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? And do you want to share what the prayer is?
I don't know it like by heart, but I know it starts with like Yivarechecha.
Yes, may you be. So this is very interesting in light of what we're saying. For a girl, you say, may you be like Sarah, Leah, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. That's the blessing for the girls. And for the boys, it's may you be like Ephraim and Manasseh. Who are they? Does anyone
Joseph's
know?
sons.
Joseph's sons. And why do you say that? You probably know from my woman's Torah study that I've talked about that. Why them? Why these two obscure names that we don't even, most people have never even heard of them? Why do we say Brad?
No, I was going back to your question about the difference between the birthright and the blessing.
Okay, I'll just
So,
answer this and then we'll go back to you. The answer is those were Joseph's sons, and those are the first two brothers that did not fight. And so that's who you bless your sons for. And we have to go all the way to Joseph's half Egyptian sons to get to two brothers who do not fight. The next two brothers are Abraham and Aaron. I mean, Moses and Aaron, and then their sister too. Okay, go ahead, Brad.
well, I'm very confused about the difference between the two. I mean, one definitely seems to relate to primogenitor, to the eldest inheriting property, but is, and I'm not sure which is which. I mean, if that's the blessing or if that's the other, but the birthright. But the issue is each one, how can I put this? Can only one be given? Is there only one blessing that can be given? Is there only apparently only one birthright, if that's the primogenitor issue, that
Right,
can only be given to one person. But the
right.
blessing, why can't the blessing be given to multiple people? In fact, later on, doesn't Jacob bless all of his sons? Aren't they
Yes,
all blessed?
yes.
So there
You
can be
can't,
multiple blessings.
there can be, but it can't be the same blessing.
Hmm.
In other words, once you've given the blessing, a blessing, according to this, you can give a different blessing, but you can't give the same blessing to two people. So if you're saying, I'm blessing you with you are the inheritor, or you are now the person carrying on the Jewish people, the teachings of Abraham, now Isaac, now you're teaching about the one God. That's the birthright. That's part of you're inheriting that. And then the blessing was, he said, may everybody serve you. If we look at the blessing that he gives Jacob, it's may your brothers serve you. You inherit double the portion. You get all the material things. You're in charge of the clan. You're the spiritual leader. It's like Pope and King, I think. You know what I mean? There's the Pope leader and then there's the king leader, and Jacob got both. So Esau's crying and going, do you have no blessing left for me? And he does give him something, but he can't give him the same one. So yes, there can be multiple blessings, but if you look at Jacob, if we go there, each blessing to each son is totally different. Some of them he actually curses. He curses Shimon. Shimon doesn't become a tribe. There was never a tribe of Shimon. I think he lost his inheritance completely because of the slaughter of Shem. So that's what I think. There's different, yes, but it can't be the same one. Rebecca and then Mara.
I
Rebecca?
just want to read the commentary, and I just want to read the commentary in this Bible. blessings were important in the life and literature of ancient people. It was believed the blessing, like the curse, released a power which effectively determined the character and destiny of the recipient.
Right. That's why you can't give the same blessing to the, you can give different blessings. Okay, Mara.
I'm I'm curious. So if you give a blessing, you can't take it back.
No.
So God creates the world and blesses us with all these various things, including the so-called Garden of Eden, and then God takes away that blessing. So God can take away blessings, but we can't.
Yes. I guess so. I mean, these things evolve. Things, the sophisticated thinking evolves through the writing of the Torah or whatever. And I mean, God never said, I won't destroy you. He does that after the flood. He says, I will never destroy you again. But beforehand, he's really disappointed with humanity and tries to start over. So I don't know that he withdrew the blessing. I don't know which blessing he said, go forth and multiply and I will bless you. I mean, the real blessings came with Abraham. You will be a blessing and I will bless you and your name will be great and you'll be like the stars of the sky and the sands of the sea and all that. But curses and blessings were so powerful. We know in the book of Judges, that horrible story about Jephthah's daughter. It's a really horrible story about, that's why soon after that story, the people said, we want a king. We don't want any more of these fly-by-night judges who show up and he was called upon to lead the Israelites in battle against the Canaanites. And he made this vow that if I win, on my way home, I will sacrifice the first thing I see to God in gratitude, thinking he would see an animal. And the first thing he sees is his daughter coming to greet him. And he made a vow and he has to sacrifice her. And he does. It's in the Torah, in the Tanakh. It's horrible. And his daughter knows that he has to fulfill this vow because he made it. You can't take it back. So I think blessings and curses have that similar idea of power as vows. And that's why Kol Nidre is a really important prayer because we're saying any vow that, I made in haste or I didn't mean or I couldn't fulfill or whatever, forget it. It's void. It's void, as opposed to I still have to fulfill it. In the view of how powerful vows, curses, and blessings were at that time. Does that help? Yeah, sort of. I don't know. I mean, God could do whatever God wants, and don't forget, it's written by, in my opinion, people, or even if you think it was dictated to Moses, these things happened, 1,000 years or 800 years before before anything was written down. But this was this vision of this is our story. Okay, any other comments or questions? Oh my God, it's 10 o'clock. How did that even happen? Well, I don't know. I think the big question is Rebecca and Jacob's collusion in order for him to get the blessing. And, we think he did the right thing and, he inherited this and he needed to get the birthright and he had to run away. But this deception continues into the next generation because then Jacob is deceived, as we know, and you'll read next week, by who he marries. And Leah, he gets the wrong wife and he's deceived as he was deceived. So that's something to talk about next week. Did he deserve that deception? Did he bring that deception on himself? He certainly trusted a very deceitful person because Laban was deceitful. So to be continued. Thank you so much. And I want to wish you all happy Thanksgiving. And we're going to
Thank
do
you.
You
You
too,
too.
Kaddish.
Rabbi.
We never have enough time. It's unbelievable. Such a great group. Um, okay, so we're going to do Kaddish for this week. I have the names. I just want to get my Siddur. It's right here. Hold on a second. All right. Okay. All right. So this week, We're remembering those who passed away during the last 30 days, Shloshim, Albert Derry, Yaakov Grigorievich, Charles Levin, Daryush Danesh Moghadam, Gerald Steiner, and Morris Mickey Weissman. We also remember those whose yortzites were during this past week. Alma Abrams, Sam Adlin, Celia Adler, Julius Adler, Sarah Nazarian Akhtarzad, Sarah Ansel, Richard Warren Banks, Samuel Berkowitz, Thelma Berkowitz, Marie Berman, Bernice Bernstein, George Barris, Faye Albin Bolanek, Bloom Boville, Joseph Brandeis, Gertrude Bubar, Nat Bubar, Evelyn Buckspan, Rose Caspary, Lillian Cohn, Ruth Rebecca Cohen, Saul Kutro, Milford Elliott, Sanford Fagadov, Francine Feynman, Betty Feldman, William Paul Fisher, Eli Fishman, Robert Frankel, Renee Bowden Friedman, Roselle Friedman, Linda Gachet, Shirley Gillick, Arnold Gold, Abraham Gordon, Edie Gordon, Lazarus Moses Gordon, Inez Grover, Yafa Hagnazarzadeh, Gerald Oswald Heyman, Richard Heller, Rose Hankowski, Margaret Jashny, Ben Kaiserman, David Carney, Irving Katz, Bess Katzinger, Andrew David Kent, Richard Harold Kent, Meyer Kessler, Gila Connie, Lillian Coslow, Arnold Krull, Aaron Kurtz, Arthur Levine, Nat Levy, Lois Liebhaber, Sarah Lippow, Sylvia Lurie, Ruth Magifis, Mildred Brick Mayer, Carol Miller, Jay Maloney, Marie Moran, Carol Morgenstern, Sylvia Newman, Arthur Pearl, Samuel Pike, Akiba Plager, Pearl Post, Spencer Pritikin, Fran Rappaport, Benjamin Rubin, Sanford Rosenbaum, Harry Rosenberg, Elias Victor Rosenkrantz, Mildred Firth Rosenkrantz, Howard Ross, Alpha Marie Russell, Benjamin Sachs, Leah Sauter, Carol Schachter, Carolyn Shayer, Nancy Schmidt, Goldie Silverstein, Ruth Simon, Ivan Sloan, Bryony Sloan, Maureen Stein, Alfred Strasburger, Walker Strauss, William Tenenblatt, Bernard Tuman, Melissa Aaron Victor, Beverly Verani, Wally Weissenberg, Leslie Weitzman, Blanche Weiner, Frederick Wolf, Marjorie Usem, Charles Zlotkin. Are there any other names to add? We also remember those who gave their lives defending the United States of America and the state of Israel, those who have died in war, in violence, through disease, and those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. And we turn, if you have the Siddur, to page 294 and say Kaddish now. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra chivute v'amlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiram b'yoma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Happy Thanksgiving.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
And it was
shalom.
a pleasure
Happy
as usual.
Thanksgiving,
And I'll
everyone.
see you in December. Bye.
Rabbi,
Yes.
is there a way we can ask people to stay on for Kaddish? Because we barely had a minyan.